Hello and welcome to episode 81 of the Cutie Art Crusaders for January 21st, 2014. My name is Rainbow Plasma, I'm the organizer and this week's editor, and today I'm joined by...
Burned01, special guest coordinator.
I'm Flutterguy317, and I am the medium manager.
And I'm Atmospark. I'm the questions guy and the deviant guy.
Yay!
So just as a question to you, Questions Master.
Oh yeah.
Do you specifically leave about a 7-second gap in between when he finishes and when you start?
No, I missed Burns' thing, so I wasn't sure if he'd gone yet, and I was going to go after Burned, so...
In what world do you ever go after Burned? We've been doing this for 81 episodes.
I heard you, and I heard Bloody Guy, but I didn't hear Burns, so has he said his thing yet? And then I waited, and then obviously he didn't talk, and then I said my thing. I was also intrigued by the alternate version of our first piece, so that's coming up.
Yeah. I mean, it
now,
is...
I'd just like to point out that while my coworkers are wonderful people, they also seem to have the shortest attention span of all time.
It's true.
It's a minute 30 into recording.
I'm also looking at the alternate version of our first piece, and I'm completely lost in it, so...
I haven't even gotten there yet. Gosh.
It's so good.
I wanted to tell a little jokey story, because I'm not sure if people can tell, but my throat is kind of scratchy, which is annoying me, because this is going to be the first time that I end up being sick in, like, probably 20 months or so. Like,
Something
I've been,
Canada's the joke.
I had a really, really good streak going, where not last September, but the September before was the last time I was sick, and I haven't been sick since, but I think it's catching up with me now.
Vomit
it was-
free since 93.
It was all because I had to walk home for like 25 minutes last night in the middle of like freezing cold Canada weather.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
I can't believe that happened to you.
I remember those texts. They were quite funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buses don't like you, dude.
No.
Okay, so today is Saturday. We're recording this on Saturday because these guys were nice enough. I asked them if we could record on Saturday as opposed to Friday because I had plans on Friday, and I went out with a friend to a Reddit meetup in downtown Ottawa, and we had a good time. We shot some pool. We drank some beverages. And anyways, so at the very end of the night, I stood at my bus station at about 11 o'clock at night. You know, not too late. And it took a long time for the bus to get there. And then I looked at the little board that told me when the bus comes, and I realized the last time the bus comes is at 10:30. So I was like, oh, well, this sucks. So I had to catch another bus that would take me to some place that was about 20-25 minutes walk from my apartment, as opposed to the other bus, which would take me right outside my apartment. So yeah, that was fun.
Why didn't you catch a taxi?
Because taxis are expensive.
Yeah, they are.
I had already spent like $40 on the night. I'm not going to spend another $20 to go like 5 blocks because somebody's going to jip me out of money and then expect a tip. You know? No. I've got like part of my university package is that I get a free like what we call a U pass, which is basically just it's like a monthly pass, except I have it for the entire school year. So like all the buses are free. So yeah,
sweet.
that was fun.
When I took public transportation, like in Germany, junk was expensive, dude.
Yeah.
It was like
Yeah.
4-ish euros for a like train ticket, and then which is like a 20 minute ride from Ludwigsburg, and then the bus tickets varied from 2 to like 3.7, I think, each.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then didn't know how to ask for like an all-day bus pass or something, or like a here and back bus pass. So I ended up just kept paying like one-way bus tickets. So it probably would have been cheaper if I knew how to ask in German for a
That's
here and back ticket. But still, regardless, getting from point A to point B wasn't that cheap.
So yeah, I apologize if you will hear my ice cubes in my glass clinking, but I need to drink water because my throat is not doing the best today.
Well, I also apologize if you hear my solid aluminum Slurpee straw clinking in my glass.
What?
So there's that.
Solid aluminum.
Aluminium? You mean aluminium?
It was
aluminum.
one of the better gifts from my brother-in-law for I think my birthday or Christmas or something, and it's a solid green iodized metal Slurpee straw.
That's cool.
That's fantastic.
Solid aluminum iodized green Slurpee straw.
So, are you drinking a Slurpee with it right now, or is
Nope.
it no?
Tap water.
He's just fiddling it with it
Yep.
for
I am
noise
drinking
purposes.
it out of my Cutie Mark Crusader beer glass, though.
No, that's
That's
a
awesome.
Sand etched Cutie Mark Crusader glass.
I want to
Yeah,
get
yeah.
a Crusader beer glass.
That'd be awesome.
right?
Yeah. You
I
should
just
do that.
lie to myself and pretend that this is my mark. I become infatuated with the Cutie Mark Crusader symbol because I associate it with our show.
Yeah,
Because I'm self-centered.
there's
and
a lot of
narcissistic.
there's a lot of stuff that we need to start getting in our likeness. As much as that sounds awful, but like we know, we should
in our likeness.
we should totally get like because okay, so we've got like plushies of ourselves, and we've got metal etchings, and we've got obviously a bunch of awesome fan art. But you know, we could go further. We could, you know,
Yeah.
we could get
Capes and-
capes.
Yeah.
And we could get like glasses.
We should totally
and
get
stuff.
capes.
I think we need to like infiltrate cons now. Like,
Go on.
so like artists or whatever will start selling Cutie Art Crusaders stuff instead of Cutie Mark
Oh my
Crusaders.
god, that would make my year if that happened.
Yeah.
I went to a con. This is like, oh my god, it's me.
And you're selling it.
I'll take 10, thank you.
I'll buy it out. All of the stock.
God. Oh,
Well, I
Christ.
suppose everybody got a little bit of that. You know, part of our society really puts emphasis on celebrities, and even though a lot of us will probably look through that and be like, well, that's not exactly right. There is a little aspect in us, and I think every single one of us that's kind of like, ooh,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
every convention we go to, and someone's like, "Oh my gosh, you're Burned 01. I recognize you." It's like, ooh.
It's like,
Nobody's
no,
ever
really.
said that I'm Burned 01 and they recognize me.
Yeah. I think everybody's got a little bit of that, so that'd be fun. But also, I mean, just in terms of when I talk about a lot of stuff that relates to our stuff in terms of like physical objects like posters or plushies or I just noticed there was the blind bags made by Silver. That's another thing.
Mhm.
You know, I look at that more as kind of like a documentation of what we're doing. And I like to have that kind of stuff so that like years from now I can look back and be like, hey, look at all this awesome stuff. You know,
Yeah,
like,
but-
it's a little bit different to like a website, you know?
The awesome stuff of me, it's like, it's getting really bad now because I'm surrounded by me. and don't get me wrong, I love it.
Well, that's your issue, Bert.
mean-
and
I
that's
mean,
something
like,
you need to get over yourself.
To my left, I've got the iron thingy, or steel laser cut thingamajig that Ted made of like a little us that Agamemnensar, you know, made the little original sketches of. And then I've got like tons of like commissions that I've gotten at like conventions. So it's like all the awesome memories of conventions. And I've got like my con badges and the little thing Silver made of us, you know, that you just mentioned. And then I've got a plushie of me that somehow, due to the Brony gods, I won in a
Yeah, I
deviant-
hate you for
Yeah,
that, by the way.
that's
Just
ridiculous.
for the rest of your entire life, I will hate you. No, you
I
know what?
love you.
Okay, you know what? I will cease hating you when I get a large plushie of my own, which
Yeah.
will be never because I can't afford it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I will hate you forever. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Atmos Spark. What do you mean? Yeah, you've got a large plushie. Shut up.
Yeah, but it's not of
Yeah.
me. I've
So?
got a Cloud Chaser plushie.
Well, I don't
Which
need
I
one of
love.
me.
I
I
think
just
it
want a
should be
big
pets.
one that I can snuggle. I don't care who it is. Well, I kind of care who it is of, but like, you know, I have no particular need to have a me pony. I just want a big plushie that I can snuggle because
And get
as
you a
much-
snowflake pony.
as much as we, you know, we have our little tiny ones that were made by Beware of Kitty, and those are super adorable.
They're amazing.
It's impossible to snuggle because there's the size of your hand.
I mean, I don't know what you're doing wrong because I can snuggle mine all day, every day.
I've got mine on my microphone here, so it keeps me company as we talk.
Yeah. So anyhow, we are an art show.
Oh my goodness, what a
And
start.
then I have a beaded knee.
Oh, no. We just,
We gotta move on.
did I ever get the beat?
Oh no,
Um,
I still have to get that here.
Yeah.
Speaking of mailing.
Yeah.
And my wings and my ears.
Yeah, I know. I was holding on to those for safekeeping.
Shout out to the Nightcraft, by the way, because that was the artist who made my plushie. I just wanted to mention that.
You should make me one.
All right, so Art. Moving on.
Me.
And you got 2 as well. That's the worst part. You don't even have one. You had one, and then you won another one. You're
Wait,
just
you
like
won 2?
you're like that guy with the lemons, being like, I can't carry all these lemons.
Well, I also
How do I
have a
hold all these
Twilight
plushies?
plushie, but, you know,
I'm
Yeah.
not bitter or anything.
Yeah, you know, we know. All right.
no, the fifth dimension entertainment and the Twilight plushie. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
What?
Oh my goodness. The Fifth Dimension Entertainment made a plushie series that doesn't suck horribly, and
You
it's
mean
a really
4
super
dimensions?
awesome Twilight.
4DE?
Fourth Dimension Studios, or whatever. Fifth Dimension, I don't
Fourth.
remember.
That's
Yeah.
Fourth
4DE.
Dimension.
Mm-hmm.
You guys didn't get one of those? You should. They're awesome. It was like $30.
Yeah, they're mass-produced plushies that look amazing.
Oh,
Do you guys not know of this?
I don't know.
What do you guys live in a cave or something?
Oh, that's a perfect transition because our theme this week is caves.
Ah,
Huzzah!
I did it.
Like
Thank
you
you,
knew
Bird. So yeah, unfortunately, Burned had rendered 2 versions, I guess, last week.
yeah.
One with the theme text in there and one without. And
Well, I made the whole episode and like did everything, and kind of on the intro part or the outro part, it's really easy to edit. So I forgot to put the cave text in there. I even made an extra line, what is it? Video. What do you call that, Max? I mean,
What?
Plasma.
I don't
What do
know
you
what the
call
heck
that?
you're talking about. So
When you put in an extra, like, line thing where you can put in video.
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't.
an extra-
I don't-
an extra track?
track.
Track, yeah.
A
I put
video
an
track.
extra video track for that specifically, like for the episode name specifically,
yeah.
and then just didn't put it in. And I rendered it all, and then I realized my mistake after I had rendered it. So I left my computer rendering all night while I slept, and left it re-rendering the episode with caves there. And then in the morning when I woke up, before I went to school, I threw everything into Dropbox to upload it and sent out the email, but I grabbed the wrong export. I had made like an extra. I didn't save over it, you know, so I made another edit, and I grabbed the wrong one and threw it in there. It's my bad.
Oops.
That's okay. So our theme is caves this week, for anyone who was wondering. And our first piece is called "In the Heat of Battle" by I Am Not, aka Nocturnal Pony. And this
Friend of
Knock.
ours.
this piece is amazing because there is an interactive version.
Yeah, there is.
Which
There is no way in heck I could possibly put the interactive version into this episode.
no.
So I'm just gonna
Wait.
leave it up to the audience.
I bet I
Can
could
you,
get you. I
uh,
bet I could get you one because we could just record our screen and then put
Exactly.
that.
It's
One thing.
That's what I was
You should-
just
we'll make
going
it
to
work.
say.
you
We'll
should
make it
really do
work.
it yourself, though. Seriously.
Yes, well that's fair enough. Anyways, yeah, like you were saying, this is a 2D version of a 3D interactive art piece that Nock made, and it's really spectacular. Yeah, you know, it's spectacular in its own right, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because it's got a lot of really cool things in there. But then you add in this interactive part, and it was something that we couldn't pass up, you know, because it's completely, it's like an evolution of art, which is a really cool thing to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a scene of the main six fighting the Wendigos from that the Hearthswarming Eve episode, and the ponies are all very stylized, which I Am Not does a lot of, but these are like a different style than what he usually does.
Well, he does like 4 or 5 different styles.
Yeah,
so
that's true. But they're very like square, kind of more minimal ponies, and it's a unique style. It's kind of neat.
It's very geometric.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like it's
sure.
all shapes, and you can tell where the edges of stuff is. And like if you look at who have we got at the front there, you got Fluttershy. You can see the outlines. You can see exactly which part of her is which, and the wings with that pointy sort of angular shapes.
Mm-hmm.
He does a lot of that in a lot of his pieces where it's all where it's something like it's not based on the show. This is all him. He does a lot of that with most of stuff that he makes like that.
Yeah.
It's all shapy. It's not smooth and rounded like ponies are. It's very pointy and angular, and
Yeah. I think
it
geometric.
does make a very interesting effect.
Yeah, geometric is probably the best way to describe it, I think.
Hey, I said something smart like.
uh,
Doesn't happen often.
oh. Just because there are these like angular portions to the ponies and stuff like that.
Maybe this is because it's in 3D space, so it helps me visualize a little bit better. But I think something really cool about this piece is normally when we talk about certain aspects of composition, we like to almost like draw shapes, like a certain piece is framed by trees, and so it creates this kind of circular composition around it, and so, but that's all in 2D space. But what I'd like to bring people's attention to is the fact that I feel like this piece kind of has this circular aspect, going from one main six to the other. It has this circular aspect to it, but at the same time, that circle in my head at least isn't just 2D like an oval, but it's 3D. It, like I could, for whatever reason, in this piece, there seems to be a lot more. It's a lot easier to make that kind of 3D connection, to kind of put yourself in the world and to see things with different depths.
Yeah.
Like the Wendigos are coming right at me.
Well, that's that. I mean, for those of you who haven't clicked on the link or gone through our favorites and had a look at the alternate version, that's what the alternate version is. When you wiggle your mouse over it, it gives it that 3D effect, like the whole thing. There's a technical term for it, but like those GIFs that you see with two things that switch really quickly between them, but it's the same thing, just slightly offset.
Stereo.
It's stereo something or other, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Stereoscopic?
Yeah.
It could be
Could
stereoscopic.
be.
I don't think it is, but yeah, it's that sort of thing, but more pronounced. Like if you move your mouse over it, it rotates the characters and the whole image, and it gives you that really, really intense 3D effect.
This whole entire time, I've just been like waving my mouse back and forth.
Yeah, this is what me and Flutterguy were doing at the start and got distracted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even without the whole interactiveness, there is kind of an aspect of depth to this piece, where you can kind of see that the circle is not just in 2D, it's actually in 3D with depth, partially because Twilight is kind of more obstructed and more in the light, so you can kind of tell that she is more towards the background of the piece. And I mean, also you get like everything that's moving is at a diagonal too, which is kind of really cool. Like Rainbow Dash is coming down at a diagonal, and all the Wendigos are.
Because diagonals create motion.
Yay! Yeah. Yeah. Something that's really well done in this piece is, I'm assuming that behind Twilight is the opening to the cave, because there's this intense light, and
Go on.
oh, well, I might be wrong.
No.
But
I was saying, to me, it looks like Twilight's creating the light, like it's her
Okay.
magic, and that's why there's like light radiating from her. What I was gonna say is that I'm not convinced that this is actually a cave. It looks like a forest
it
because
does.
there's the trees on the left and trees on the right, and I can't see anything that says, "Hey, I'm a cave."
Yeah.
Other than that,
So
it's
first
dark.
So,
but you have to
sorry,
choose
this is not
nighttime.
okay. No, I mean, I think when we first chose this piece for this theme, we had figured that it was in a cave because of the Wendigos, but
Mhm.
it might not be in a cave.
Well, that's the way I understood it, because the Wendigos had appeared to the ponies in a cave, so that's kind of, I guess, my reference point for them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can
But
see that.
still,
Yeah, there's definitely that reference point of Wendigos in the cave because there's that scene,
Yeah.
but it's like these giant, huge spruce trees.
Yeah,
kind
that are
of make
not
for
growing in a cave.
an arguing factor there.
Yeah.
But other than that, the atmosphere of the whole thing and like how it is very dark, and the only thing lighting it up is Twilight, and that's where like the main light source is.
Mm-hmm.
is like makes it also seem like a cave. The other thing is, speaking of just light source, Twilight is the only real main light source. As far as we think of light source coming from a direction, there really is none other than the ambient lighting that seems to be coming from the center of the piece, lighting up like the ground in the center and like all the characters evenly. And then you have the shadows on all the characters, which the shadows seem to be reacting to Twilight, or just like kind of top down, or just like so light above. So there isn't that, it's being like lit by a moon or some kind of other light source. Pretty much the brightest thing in this piece creating light is Twilight herself up there being all magical and stuff.
I
Alicorny.
want to add to that. I don't know whether you guys get the same effect that I do, but it looks like there is light coming from behind her, but it's supplemented by her magic. Like, it looks like, what was that one? We've featured a piece before. It looks like the opening to, like, if it was a cave, for example, or if it's the moon or whatever. I choose to think it might be a cave because of the way the light works around her, but that's just me. It looks like the light is coming from behind her, but the brightest point is her horn, but there is still that bright light around her, behind her.
So the other thing is...
You just kind of blew my mind, because looking at that kind of like... I mean, I personally believe that it's kind of like a blossoming light source from her. But like for some reason, my brain just clicked that to see it another way, where it looks like almost like it is like a cave going in somewhere or something like that.
It's going
weird.
back behind her, right?
Yeah. That's weird. I
you
can see what
see-
you're talking about.
Well, you see,
all the
what you
rocks
can
behind her?
do is you can go into the 3D thing, so you're moving the mouse, whatever, back and forth, and you can actually see that the light and where she is moves differently and dynamically from the things behind it, so there actually is a texture in the background that moves independently of it, and so like you can tell in 3D space that purple light where Twilight is something that physically is moving and is right there. So like Twilight is the thing creating that little ball of pink magic, because you can physically move it and it moves in space as if it were where her location is, if that makes sense.
I still find it really interesting that I never thought about that before, but you could definitely flip your perspective, and like I could see how you could see this piece as a cave, because those the way that the light fades out almost looks like rock. It's circular, rocky kind of.
Especially in the 2D one.
Yeah.
Anyways,
All right, so we do have to move on. Our next piece is called Charming Mr. Dragon by Minibot1. And this features Rarity and a dragon, who I would like to think is the dragon that we saw in season 1 that
Don't you mean
Snore.
Bilbo and Smaug?
no, it is the dragon from Dragon Shy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Read the description.
I just look at the pictures.
Yeah, I think it's kind of an artist's imagining of that scene playing out in front of it. And I think one of the most interesting things is the choice of light sources in this piece, because as Bern was mentioning before, in our last piece there was only kind of one artificial light source, and the interesting thing about this one is that it's almost like there's two light sources in a way, because you've obviously got the opening of the cave is behind, well, maybe not, but the way that I originally saw it was the opening of the cave, or at least where the light was coming from, was behind the dragon, because we've got that blue light. Again, it might be atmospheric perspective, but I believe it's light, based on how it's affecting the surroundings.
It's both in this situation.
And then you also have like the reflective light of off the gold, which is really interesting, because it gives it definitely looks like it's glowing, and it's affecting the lighting along the edge of the dragon and over most of Rarity's body as well.
I really do like how lighting was done in this piece. Like with the backlighting against the dragon, you have this subsurface scattering in his wings, which looks really cool. It's very similar to the Flutterbat piece by who was it, Citra 360 last week, where you can see like
less detailed.
Less detailed, but you can still see like veins and stuff.
It still looks leathery.
Yeah, which is really cool. And then the reflective lighting off the gold kind of casts a yellowish tint to obviously to the dragon, to Rarity, to everything in there, and it's really well done, I think.
The dragon itself, I can't remember, that episode was such a long time ago. I can't remember exactly how it looked, but he looks smooth. I thought dragons were meant to be scaly and stuff. But this one looks kind of smooth. I guess that's artistic. That's artistic choice and freedom, and he can do what he wants.
And also, holy cow, attempting to do scales on this kind of scale, no pun intended.
I mean, he's done they have done a good job around its face, where you've got like that gill thing, you got a bit of leather scaly, then around the eyes, and that gives it that effect of being scaly without doing the whole thing.
Exactly.
Same. It does the same sort of thing with the gold, having a big smudge of color, but with little things that show coins, and it makes your mind think that it's coins. It's not just a pile of molten gold.
Yeah,
which, as we all know, will kill a dragon.
You can think like scales, like rough scales, but I mean smooth is also fine. I mean, if you've like ever held like a snake or whatever, it's really smooth. I mean, it differs from snake. I think rattlesnakes are a little bit more rough. But he's shown scales in the places that matter, and then he's painted the dragon, in smooth and like smooth colors, which is fine. And then he's shown other details where it matters. So like, and where the arms are, like actually a lot of really important details and really cool details. So like, look at the arms, where they join the body. You can right above the scales on his neck, you can see the wrinkles in his skin or leather, whatever dragon hide is. And you can also see a lot of definition in the arm on the left, and like the muscles in the elbow and in the bend, and especially like also in the legs. So there's a lot of incredible details, and like you're saying with the gold, there's a lot of incredible use of colors with that, orange glow on the bottom of the dragon, and then also just how it affects the like skin tone and like bottom of the dragon's tail or whatever, actually bottom of the dragon's belly. And so there's just a lot of really cool things going on. A lot of really well done things as far as like color, atmospheric lighting. We have more, what's it called? Subsurface scattering in the wings, where the light's coming through it. We talked about that last week.
Yeah. And I think something really important is that, this dragon is supposed to be powerful. It's supposed to be a strong influence. It's supposed to show off that it is not only big, but also quite a menacing force. And I think an important thing to talk about that was we were talking about muscle definition, and I think that's a really good point to make, because you can't just you can make a dragon big, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's strong for its size, whereas this dragon looks like it has muscles. It looks like it is very strong. It doesn't look like a big fat lazy dragon that's sitting on a pile of gold.
Yeah.
It looks like a dragon that can hold its own even against things of its own size. Not to mention tiny little ponies that it could probably eat.
Yeah, exactly. Looks like a dragon that could mess you up.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like Spike.
No. No. Maybe what Spike will become in like 20 years' time.
So how does he grow wings? Like, do they just like pop out of his back at some point, or is he not supposed to have wings, or what's
Could
up?
be just one of them ground dragons.
One of them
Hey,
dirty ground dragons.
He's just a late bloomer.
He's an earth dragon. They have Pegasus dragons too, and they have unicorn dragons.
I'm not saying he should have his wings by now, because I don't know anything about dragon genealogy.
He could
Yeah.
he could totally be like a Dumbo dragon. And maybe his ears will just grow into wings. He has big old ears.
It
Kind
is
of look
true.
like wings.
I mean, in the episode where Spike kind of grows large, he does get wings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I forgot that episode ever existed until right then.
yeah.
But when does that happen? Like at what point during the transformation do wings just suddenly
I don't know how dragon
pop out of his
puberty
back?
works,
Like,
man.
I don't know.
Like the alien
I
from
didn't take
Alien.
dragon health class.
You're asking the hard questions here.
It's a rhetorical question, because obviously none of you know that. But it seems strange to me, because it's like, does that just does it morph out of his back? Does his back start splitting open? Like
The great thing about like fantasy and fantasy dragons is you can make your own reality. So how Spike will grow wings is up to your imagination.
I like
well,
to
if I were to make
that's the
my own
important
dragon,
fact.
then I definitely add more black to this red design.
I'd like to
Yes.
believe that Spike will create a cocoon and go inside it for
Like
a
a
few
butterfly.
months and then grow some wings. Yeah.
This
Ignoring
idea,
Spike.
that idea has gained way too much traction in my mind within the last 10 seconds.
Enough
This is now,
enough
this is now
about
my
Spike.
dragon headcanon.
So done with him. Back to this piece.
Okay.
I want everyone to look at the color and like how it's blended in areas. So like one of my favorite little parts is the part on the left, the very left. You can actually see like orange blended in with the violet, and then with like blue on top of it. So like how the rocks are created. And then also right by Rarity, right on top of her, where you have like the orange glow hitting the rocks, and then the kind of blue light from the ambient lighting from behind the dragon hitting the top of the rocks and creating that combination of 3 colors where you have orange, violet, and then that lighter blue. So like there's a really cool interaction of colors. So how all the colors in the piece are used are also done really well. I believe orange is blue's complement, right?
Did we mention it was complimentary? Because it is.
Hold on. Yeah, so like the light blue in the background is, so like blue is complement of orange, which is, so like you have that highlight of blue in the background and then highlight of orange in the front, and then
Oh.
violet is a slight off tint of blue. I don't know, color theory, how does it work? But it's done really well, and it's done really cool. All the colors on the piece. It's something worth looking at, especially looking at in your own work.
Yeah.
Can we come up with a word so that everyone knows what we're talking about, but we don't have to go into super long depth about blue and orange and complements? Can we just say a blorange piece?
A blorange piece.
This piece has blorange elements, and then people will be like, "Oh, it's got blue."
It has
They're complements.
orange elements, if you will, about that awful word, but it also is made up. The majority of it is made up of violet, of a purple.
But it's got blorange elements.
Moving on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Well, the other combination of words is aru. So, do we have aru elements or do we have blorange? Because
There are no
blorange
trains.
sticks.
There are no tracks to this train.
No, it's just getting derailed. One last quick thing that's related is that it's interesting to see the kind of split in the 2 different colors, or 2 different like focuses of colors, I guess. Like you have orange in the bottom half of the piece, and you have this whitish blue in the upper half of the piece. I mean, we've seen that in several other pieces as well, and it kind of gives the piece a little bit of depth. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the
It's just,
atmospheric perspective we mentioned does a lot to that as well.
yeah.
Atmosparkic.
Atmosparkic. All right, so we're gonna move on to our next piece, which is called "The Traveler" by the Pleonastic Potato, which is a fantastic name.
Well, you know,
Yeah, you know,
I don't know what the heck pleonastic is, but you know.
I don't know either, but it's yeah. Anyhow,
Pleonastic. Whoa. I got the definition. Okay. Pleonasm is the use of more words than are required to express an idea. Redundancy.
so like what we do.
So it's another word for redundancy. So it makes the word redundant.
Correct.
Sweet. I'm gonna use this word. This is my word of the day.
Thank
It's
you.
actually funny because the
Pleonastic.
second definition is a superfluous word or phrase.
Superfluous. Oh, superfluous.
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 Yeah.
So
Word or
that's-
phrase.
Superfluous.
So
Like blorange.
so this piece is Trixie in a cave, basically in the mouth of a cave, and the perspective is from inside the cave looking out, which is kind of interesting because you get this.
I yawned and it reminded me of the cave.
But you get this.
Wait, what?
This change in
outside the cave looking.
Yeah.
no,
No,
it's
you're
inside the
inside the
cave,
cave
looking
looking
out.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah,
We are not sure. So.
we've talked about this before, but it has a lot to do with exposure. If you take a picture of something, like if you're inside and you take a picture outside, your inside is going to be really dark, and the outside is going to be really light. And you can obviously change the exposure so that something is more visible, whether it's the outside or the inside. And in this piece, there's kind of a medium ground, because the outside you can still make out clouds and stuff like that, and you can still see like some of the details on the inside. So it's kind of like a neutral exposure to this piece.
Some sort of strange house on a cliff that I'm literally like 2 inches from my screen.
Yeah, it's
looking
there.
at. I think that's amazing. And this is the same thing with a lot of stuff that artists do. But this artist probably spent a good half an hour or so on that house. And he was just like, yeah, put this house in the background. It's going to be great. And then like I'm looking at it now and I'm like, is there a house back there?
Yeah,
So
if you
it's
download
fun.
it and look at it at full resolution, it's really easy to see.
Yeah.
So this artist did something really cool in their technique, and it's always nice to hear what artists do in their technique because we can only guess. But normally, this artist decides to put down colors and then kind of shape the piece around the colors. And this time, the artist decided to paint using value or paint in grayscale and then add the colors on afterwards, which is an interesting idea for this one. But it's nice to hear the process a little bit so we can understand a little bit more about the piece straight away.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why you get this kind of feeling of being inside the cave looking out, and the value is all very correct, is because that was very important in this piece.
Yeah, for sure.
He kind of started with that and with tweaking that.
Yeah.
Something that's really interesting is on the inside of the cave, there's this kind of texture, which is kind of like a hashing all along the rocks and stuff like that. And it kind of adds to just kind of a rocky feeling. And it fits well with the lighting of the piece.
Yeah. It's a very scattered, it's a very grungy texture, for sure. So
Rustic, maybe.
yeah, and like you said, it gives a lot of texture to the piece.
This artist really likes those grungier brushes.
Yeah, that's true. All right then. Sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
No, one more thing that I wanted to bring up was just the interesting use of color, because the artist, when I was looking at this, the artist mentioned the fact that they didn't put down color first this time. And I think the interesting thing about that is that I don't see how they could have possibly put down the color first on this one, because it doesn't have many different colors. There's this greeny, kind of sickly green color, which is what the cave is colored as, and then a similar color with the trees, and you've got the blue in the sky, and then obviously you've got little tiny things with Trixie. But I mean, other than that, you've got a lot of colors within a small range. So I think it was probably a better idea, because it didn't end up having a huge amount of color, to start with the value first, because like you said, it was more prevalent, and there was a wider variety of value than there was color.
I mean, the majority of the piece is shifts in value, I think.
Well, see, I've been kind of hesitant about saying that, because there's really, like, on a scale of value, if we're talking about it, there's really only two major shifts. There's the outside, which is the light, and then there's the inside. And that's really the two only existent levels here. So if we're actually talking about, like, a value study or a value scale, there's actually a lot to be lacking in this piece. So, like, if we're looking at examples in our previous examples, or if, like, in the dragon one, you have physical steps of, like, if you're looking at the dragon, there's, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's like 7 steps on a value scale that creates that depth in the cave. To where this one, there isn't really a series of noticeable steps that I can notice in the cave.
Right.
There's really just the black on the left, and then it's still black in the middle, and then there's kind of a shift on the edge of a cave, on the edge of the cave, with the light that's coming in. That being said, like, the painting of, like, the black and white, that, like, because all this stuff outside, the trees and Trixie, was all done in black and white, was actually pretty cool. And so, like, there's a gradient on Trixie that goes from, like, being bright all the way to darker black, to kind of show that there is that brightness outside. But there's still a lot to be lacking in that shift of, how am I going to show that this cave has a lot of depth? Pretty much, because, I mean, the major focus of all the details is just that cave entrance. It's like the little, like, fifth of the piece is just that little mouth area.
Right.
So the other 4/5 of the entire piece are kind of inherently flat, because there isn't that gradient, there isn't that scale of at least 7 steps, was what we learned in, like, art class, just generic value studies, was like at least 7 steps, the first one being white and the last one being black. So you kind of get what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, like, there's a lot of cool stuff going on this piece, and I really like the use of brushes. And I kind of like how the cave is kind of inherently flat, and then he uses just, like, the what is it, like black touching brighter areas, and then those grungier brushes, and the rock is really cool. But showing like the depth of the cave and like the vastness of the cave, there isn't a huge shift in like well used value to describe that, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. Like if you were to compare this to our last piece, you can definitely see that the last piece kind of gives it more of a cavernous feeling to it, just because you have more of these shifts in value. Whereas in this piece, it's really focused around that entrance to the cave.
Yeah, I like these pieces juxtaposed because it shows what is like kind of that scale of value, and that I don't know, that word you just used of like depth and going receding. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
And where in this piece it is kind of an opposite. It is kind of looks like it's inherently flat, and it's more like how do I put it? It's like it's kind of an abstraction of a cave. It's how like edges and colors and brushes interact to kind of describe an inside of a cave,
Mm-hmm.
than being actually like showing something on like a scale. So it's actually really cool in that fashion.
Cool.
I just wanted to point out how cool the eye looks when it's in that black Trixie.
Yeah.
How it really, really pops and stands out. Same with the hair there.
Yeah. Cool. All right, so we have to move on to our last piece, which is called MLP by Holivi, who we featured once before, and who does a lot of really cool things with like colors and with these thick outlines.
Mm-hmm. Thick
So-
colored outlines, which is cool. Like it's a similar color to what is in the background, but it's also completely different,
Yeah.
except on cadence.
So holivi as an artist is extremely cool because we've kind of gone from lots of different styles. So we went from that kind of 3D style in our first piece,
Mhm.
which is like completely different, almost medium, if you will, because it's physically 3D artwork. It's almost sculpture, and that you're placed in this 3D environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's kind of that, I'd say it's a really professional kind of quality for the dragon, or the dragon piece, Charming Mr. Dragon, because it has like that huge, it really shows that scale of value and like that depth and receding. And then we kind of have there's a really strong emphasis on brushwork and those grungy brushes and how they interact in the Traveler,
Mhm.
which is our third piece. And in this piece, all the emphasis is purely on color.
Mhm.
And that is why Holivi is so cool as an artist, and you should really go look through her entire gallery, is because, hold on, let me make sure I'm not wrong in that.
No, yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. From Russia. Cool.
Yeah.
So on our entire gallery, all the emphasis is completely on color. Like there's definitely some use of value in a lot of her pieces, and there's some use of value here, but it's almost 100% of all the emphasis is just straight color, which is super cool as a style, and especially for this artist, and even like pony work, it's really awesome to see. And we were talking about color schemes. So Charming Mr. Dragon, it was analogous and had the complement of blue in the background. And then this piece is straight up analogous. You have violet, blue, and blue violet, I believe.
Yeah.
So you have
Violet!
pink, violet, and blue.
Violet.
Violet. Oh my goodness. Anyway, it's
not gonna
an
work.
analogous color scheme. So you have
Stop
like
being
the reddish,
pleonastic.
you have reddish violet, and then you have blue, and then everything in between there. So you have violet, blue, and then like lighter blue.
Okay, you've said these
Purple,
colors far
violet.
too many times. My
Blue,
brain is
purple,
shutting
and violet.
off. What are you getting to?
What I'm getting to is that there's three strong uses of color here. You have the pink in the foreground. You kind of have that darker violet in like the center with some accents of orange,
Mm-hmm.
which is extremely cool. So like in Cadence's like tail or hair, and then a little bit on the background around Cadence. It's a little bit more like warmer colors mixed in there. And then you have blues in the background and the crystals in the background. So you have kind of warm colors and cool colors fighting for attention, and in use in accents in areas of the piece. But it's a strong 3-color analogous piece where you have 3 main colors that are all using and describing details with like the bright outlines of all the like the crystals, and then like the darker, cooler colors that are in the background. And something else really cool is what we've talked about on the show before is warm colors tend to protrude, like go forwards, and then cool colors tend to recede. So it's kind of a cool use in this because the bright pink colors, when we're talking about value, bright colors, I believe, I don't know, bright colors really stand out. So the pink crystals that are glowing in the front are actually coming forwards. And now
Yeah,
see,
they'll be
now the
pushing
piece
the
is
foreground.
messing with me because we've talked about how darker colors will tend to also come forwards when we're talking about value because there's something in front of your face. So when you have something bright, it looks like it's far away.
Mhm.
But in this
that's
piece,
context. It's context. though.
yeah,
That's
it's
the
yeah.
point,
context.
right?
So in this piece, we have the bright glowing crystals, but they're right up in our face, and we can tell that. And then you have like the darker, cooler colors in the background receding. The point I wanted to make, and then I got all lost in myself when I was looking at it, was that there's a lot of cool colors in the background and behind Cadence and like the top right of the piece, which helps it recede and helps it kind of go into the background of this color cave, if you will.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think, when we're talking about the value stuff there, something sets it in your brain, something sets the base point. So, for example, in this piece, we see that the crystals at the front there, they're the light crystals. So we go, oh, the light's near us, right? And so then, it sets that as, so it sets, light or high value at the front. And then everything else kind of goes accordingly to that. But in other pieces, you might have like a dark branch hanging over in front of the piece. In which case we go, oop, our brains go, oop, look, dark value, that's really close, and all the light stuff's behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about the context of the piece,
Yeah.
Mhm.
This piece is so cool.
It's
So
re-
much
it's
colors.
It's really interesting to see like the different styles, just because in this piece a lot of the depth is defined by hue shifts, whereas in like our Charming Mr. Dragon piece, a lot of the depth is defined by value shifts. So it's completely different, but it's a really interesting use of color and really cool style.
and it's a completely different use of brushwork.
Stop
in-
hitting your desk, for God's sakes.
No, in Charming Mr. Dragon, all the brushwork is super exact, like super precise and extremely tight. And in this one, everything is just loose. It's like messy. It's everywhere. It has a completely different feeling, and it's awesome. But still, there's still what do you want to call it? Precision where it matters. So there's still like the artist holivi still took care in placing like outlines of the crystals. Like they're still messy and lines go over other like background things and whatnot, and everything's like overlapping. But she still took care to make sure that you know that is crystal, and you can tell that those are crystals in the background, and you can definitely tell that is a pony and sad kind of flopped over Cadence.
Aww.
That was cute.
So yeah, fantastic piece, fantastic artist. Definitely go check out holivi because she does some amazing work.
Holivi, secretly I love you and all of your work.
All right, so
Secretly?
we should move on to our QNAS.
Want to do Cunas?
Yeah.
Okay, we can do Cunas.
Yay!
Bring it back up.
Colors.
Colors?
Mm-hmm.
Did you say colors?
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh, goodness.
so first question I've got
Switch the questions,
here
switch the
is-
questions, switch the questions, please. I was going to say it to you before, but I completely forgot. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I would have got that anyway because we're going to talk about one more than the other.
Yep.
First question is Burn Move Your Mouse. What is your favorite character in My Little Pony who isn't equine? As in, for example, the angry cow guy, who we're going to assume is Iron Will, sent in by the first artist we featured, Nocturnal Pony.
Yeah, it's kind of fun that we feature an artist and also get a question from him in the same week. Yeah, so angry cow person. I guess that's Iron Will?
Possibly.
Yeah,
Angry
Like,
cow
what?
guy.
Yeah.
I tried asking him, but he didn't respond to me. He's gone offline.
Is what defines an equine? Like, is a cow an equine?
Horse.
No.
Horse.
Okay, horse.
Was that wait
I was
okay.
confused there for a second because I was also.
I never seen horses in the equestrian in the Olympics.
Well, that's the thing though, because it also counts zebras, so you can't say Zecora.
Yeah. What about like
And donkeys. It counts
donkeys.
donkeys as well.
Can we
yeah.
just change the question to anyone who's not a horse?
No, I believe the
No.
question said. I
Who's
think that's a
not
completely
equine.
legitimate question.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It doesn't make the answer very easy because there are like that kind of shoehorns someone into saying Spike. I want
all of these things I like are horses.
I know.
I want to say, I don't want to say specific character. I want to say griffins in general. I want to see more of,
Mhm.
and I think it's a really interesting dynamic to have, and I like the design that they had in the show. That being said, wasn't a big fan of Gilda. Wasn't a big fan of that strange French griffin from
Yeah.
that second season. So
So
I don't
a
have
French name that I can't remember.
I don't
Some
I
kind
don't
of
have
cook chef.
I don't have like a particular griffin that I would say I like, but I really do I want to see more griffins in general.
Mhm.
I don't particularly care for griffins at all, so I'm not going to pick griffins. Can I pick Tom?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
He's a character.
Indeed, a character.
Because the question's so restricting, sure.
I don't know who I would pick.
No, you pick Tom. You can't go back now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tom will do.
You can't
I'll
you
stick
can't
with Tom.
flip flop.
My rock.
My rock, Tom. I don't know why, but that's I mean, I like dragons in general, but I can't really choose a favorite. I mean, Spike is obviously a dragon, but but I'm trying to think back to the episode where
Nope, choice by default.
what Spike?
No.
No, no.
Yeah,
no,
pick
no.
dragons.
Oh, now that you mention it, Philomena.
Damn it!
She's pretty.
Damn it!
Yeah.
That was a really good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like going back
Well,
to that
you got
dragon episode where he steals the phoenix egg, and then I was like, wait,
That crackle.
Philomena.
Damn it! I've got another answer now. Go ahead,
I
Vern. Though.
know, so many pets.
I'll let you. Yeah, exactly. I didn't think about a pet at all.
Mhm.
Yeah, because I'm actually looking around my room for My Little Pony characters that aren't horses. I'm like, and I have and I was like, and I have bottles on my top shelf made by Pixel Kitties with gummy on them. These
Yes.
are the Nuka Cola,
I would love to
Nuka
see more
Classy
gummy.
Cola bottles.
So
I was like,
are you gonna,
gummy's funny. He chews stuff.
so you're gonna say gummy?
Actually, I think my answer was gonna be Discord.
I was gonna say
That's
Discord.
I was trying to, but then I was trying to think if he's part
kind of a
equine.
goat,
But
though.
like,
No,
but goats
he's
I
not.
don't think are
He's-
equines.
Well, no,
He's
goat's
a-
not. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that as if he was. I was just
Yeah.
like in my brain. I was like, "What the heck?"
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a-
exactly. That's what I was doing. And I was like, he's like part dragon thing. He's like lion, bird, like going through like gazelle. He has gazelle horns. Like that's kind of close. I think Discord counts because he's nowhere near horse.
I think that's
Yeah,
fair.
no.
Yeah,
I was
okay.
now. You mentioned pets. I was just gonna say owlicious because Aloysius
Hmm.
Yeah,
because
that's pretty good.
and owls are cute. So there you go. All right. Well, that was
That
was a question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, was
That
a
made us
question.
think. You know what? No, I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I'm fine
thank
with
you. That was really good.
It's good.
So, thank you, Noki. All right, next question is the one that we're going to talk about a little bit.
watching you.
If you could each have one pony plushie, which pony would you choose? In brackets, why? Sent in by Nazi Goring, an amazing plushie maker.
Yes, she
Yes.
is.
Not just plushie, she also does sculpt works.
Yes.
So
I love her sculpts.
So
Uh-huh.
Naz sent in this question. She didn't send it in to us. She just put it on our DeviantArt page, our CIC DeviantArt page. But I kind of wanted to include it because we don't talk about some stuff like this. But we mentioned plushies a little bit last week, and maybe that caught her attention. But she's a fan of the show, and she has been for a while. And she makes like the best plushies.
Mhm.
It's like mind blowing how good her plushies
Pretty much the
are.
definition of fantastic.
Yeah. They're amazing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
It's funny because we all have a weakness for plushies, so we're all a big fan of different plushie makers. And like Nazagoran is up there and like our
Oh, for sure. It's
top notch.
definitely
Yeah.
like wish list if I had money. Would contact Naz.
Yeah.
Take my money.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well.
yeah. I think we might have to start featuring more plushies and sculptures on the show.
I'm very much okay with this because it is art.
Yes.
It's hard
Yeah,
though
right.
because like we have
Plushie
to analyze the.
episode.
Yeah, maybe. Do you guys actually have an answer?
It's a cute question. Like,
Yeah.
why
If you were
would
gonna
you want to
have-
have a
yeah.
specific pony plushie?
You're gonna have one pony plushie. Who would it be?
I've got a cloud chaser. Um,
I'm gonna go ahead. Sorry, go
Sorry,
on.
go ahead. You go first.
Both of you.
Every episode.
Every
single
time.
episode.
All right.
I'm not editing it out either because I want people to understand that this happens
This
every
happens
single
every
episode.
single week.
It's never Burned and I.
No,
you know,
it's
it's always
us.
those two.
Yeah.
You and I fight for like attention,
Exactly.
or not? Like, we fight for the ability to talk. Like we'll
Exactly.
talk over each other.
Yeah.
We won't just be like, "Oh no, Max, you first." By all
Please,
means, no.
Go through the door
Please.
first, Burned. Did we give you enough time to come up with an actual answer?
I have an answer.
Sweet, go
Yeah,
ahead.
you go, that's what I said. You go first.
Yeah,
No, you-
I would go with Applejack because she is best pony.
Aparoo, Jakku.
Aparujaku.
Yeah, with it has to have a removable hat though. That's
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Magnetic hat.
Why make it
magnetic hat. Yeah.
I had one, but now I lost it.
Yeah. All right.
What, a plushie or a thought?
You guys want to like?
Both.
All right, Max, you go then.
No, I'm going last.
Damn it.
Okay, then I'm gonna say. Okay, now I remember what I was gonna say. Her latest upload, her Pinkie Pie. I want one of those because it has 3D ears, which very, very, very few people do, and they're incredibly well done. So yeah, that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Okay.
Burned.
Right. If I could have one pony plushie, what would I choose? Well,
That was the question. Yes.
it's like I always wanted a plushie of like my favorite pony because it's like you associate, you know, with that pony or whatever. You really like that pony for X and Y reasons.
Right.
And I've always like really loved plushies, so I always wanted a Rainbow Dash plushie, but I have like a Rainbow Dash plushie, and it's also a Philly plushie, so it's extremely adorable. And I'm also like holding it and balancing it on both of my hands, and it's so cute. So it's like I
Wait,
have.
hold on, we gotta edit
Sorry.
that out.
That's 2 times I've had to edit you this episode, Burned.
Sorry,
Finish
it's
your answer.
so cute. So like I have this adorable Rainbow Dash plushie, and I'm super happy with it, and I can like snuggle and cuddle it.
I hate
it's
you
like-
so much.
I gosh, I don't know. I was trying to think because I'm sure there's like a pony plushie out there that I really want. I just like can't think of it, you know.
How about
Well,
how about not a pony plushie, but a plushie from MLP, like a Tom plushie?
No, lame.
I gotta
well, there you go.
outside
There you
and
go,
find her.
folks. Burned has every single pony thing that he ever needs. That's what I'm getting from this.
Dude, I'm content with life.
He's got a plushie of himself. He's all set.
It's true. I mean, like,
right?
that's,
Who
that's-
needs that?
like that's the thing, right? Because you were just talking about like if I was gonna get one, it'd be of my favorite pony. So like there you go, you got that down. All right. Well, I guess you know, crazy, weird happenstance. If I get another one, then it'd probably be of me. But then after that, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, my OC, you know.
But you
and
have
then it's
both!
Like,
Yeah.
exactly. So now I'm just like, Like I really, really like Equestria plushes. Plushes of what is it? Like Luna and Celestia, because they're so pretty.
Mhm.
And then I really like that Derpy plush. Remember with like the magnetic muffin and the magnetic.
Oh
magnetic
yeah,
cute.
that was
and
adorable.
magnetic letter, like that was really cool and adorable. But it's like I don't need those things. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't really know. I don't want like a big me because I don't know why. I just don't really necessarily want a big me. I've got a little me, so that's fine.
Mhm.
And like I've got a couple plushies of Rainbow Dash. But I've been kind of gravitating more towards Soren lately. I don't know why. I guess because not as many people talk about him, whereas like a lot of people talk about Rainbow Dash. So I don't know. Soren, spoilers, especially with this week, has really climbed up my list and is threatening to become best pony. So
I liked
think-
his voice change in this.
I
but-
think I would
recent
probably I
episode.
think I would actually say Soren.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
I don't think
I'm
I don't
gonna-
think there's nearly enough Soren things out there. So I need to start being more of a Soren person because there are plenty of people who will talk for Rainbow Dash, but no one ever talks about Soren, and that is a crime. So there you go.
My second option is going to be Lara.
Oh yeah,
I would
You
love
wouldn't
Lara
want like
plushie
a
too.
cloud chaser one?
I've
He has a
got a
Cloud
he's
Chaser
got a
one.
Cloud Chaser one,
Oh, that's right.
dude.
Magic Flitter.
You could get Lyra. I could get Bon
Flitter would
Bon,
be cool.
and then
Yeah.
like
I've got a Cloud Chaser, so Flitter would go well with it.
So yeah,
Yeah.
there's your answers. Applejack, nothing for Burned,
I'm happy with life.
Flitter or Lyra, and Soren.
I'm
There
gonna
you go.
I'm gonna get you a Tom plushie. Seriously.
Now, by plushie, can I just get him a big rock? Does it have to be like? What's the definition of plushie?
Can we just like drop it off at his house, like, and leave, like leave it with a note and just like take off?
Just throw a rock through his
Cool.
window. Just throw a rock through the window. Yeah, it's Tom. It's okay. We didn't break a window. It's just Tom.
It's a plushie.
I think I would be okay with this.
Tom coming through. How do you feel about this, Burnt? You on board?
I don't know.
Fantastic.
Doesn't sound
Fantastic.
Thanks for the consent. I'm gonna submit this to the police when they arrest us.
All right, we got to wrap up. So plugs.
Atmo plug.
At my plug, okay. So we have DeviantArt, which is cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com. Go do stuff on that. We have YouTube, which is Cutie Art Crusaders, youtube.com/cutieartcrusaders. I don't think there's much on there at the moment. We have what else? We have email, Gmail, which is cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com. Please send in questions because we are running low. Both of these were sent in this week because we are out. We have a Twitter, which is @CutieArtCrusade, and a Facebook, which is Cutie Art Crusaders. So go and give us a like and a follow and a subscribe and etc. etc.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
All right then.
Our theme is going to be here this time. Hopefully, we'll have one. Yeah.
Max, don't mess it up like I did.
I told Byrne beforehand because Byrne came up to me and this is the first time this week that we really talked, which usually what happens because we talk to each other like once a week
We were
when we
busy.
record. But like he came up to me. He's like, "Hey, by the way, I just wanted to mention. I'm sorry. You told me about the rendering stuff." And it's like the next week's theme. Like, no offense, but that's really not high on my priority list. Like, it's a courtesy, and I think it would be really cool if we could manage to do it. But like, if we don't, no big deal. It's more of like a way to help us organize. It's a marker that we can hit in order to make sure that we're organized enough, so that we're not throwing stuff together at the last minute.
Yeah. And we're gonna have a spoiler cast after this episode, so stay tuned for that.
Should
You know
be
what?
an interesting spoiler cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is everything for this week. Thank you guys for watching. Whether or not you're on the live stream or on YouTube, we love you all the same. My name is Rainbow Plasma.
Burn.
I'm Flutterguy317.
I'm Atmospark.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
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 I want a pony with socks.
Hello and welcome to the 9th spoiler cast covered by the Cutie Art Crusaders for Season 4 of My Little Pony. My name is Flutterguy317, and today I am joined by Rainbow Plasma,
Hello.
Burndo1,
Hello.
and Atmospark.
So,
And today we're going to be spoiler casting Season 4, Episode 10, Rainbow Falls. And this episode was interesting. I think it's probably the key episode for Rainbow Dash.
Not probably. Guaranteed.
Yeah, Rainbow Plasma, you in the Rarity episode, you were the one that was very adamant that like the whole rainbow shimmering thing meant key, and this
totally
episode kind
called
of
it.
yeah.
For the record, I just wanted to say we're gonna have this happen the entire season. Totally called it. And what I called was every single main six will have an episode about their element, and at the very end they will be given a gift from someone, and that gift will be their key. And
Yep.
I wasn't 100% sure because that could have just been something strange that happened with Rarity, but the fact that this episode did everything that I mentioned it would do,
Yeah.
it guaranteed 100%. 100% that's what's happening. And I totally called it. I'm so happy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Rainbow Dash's key episode. For sure.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
So both Flutterguy and I watched this morning, and neither one of us liked the episode. And I'll explain why. But I also wanted to kind of disclaimer it a little bit first, because I wanted to just mention the fact that I really, really didn't initially like it at all, and I wanted to make sure that I sat down 2 or 3 more times to watch the episode to make sure that if I was going to be sitting here and talking about why I didn't like the episode, I wanted to make sure I had concrete, objective examples of why I didn't like the episode, as opposed to just going, I got a bad vibe about it. Because I guess that was kind of what I had for the first sitting. So I sat down and I watched it a couple more times, and it's not as bad as I first thought it was. I think it's an okay episode. There are some good things and there are some bad things, and I just wanted to very quickly go through some of the bad things that I thought could be improved on, and things that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. So I've been mentioning this entire season that we seem to have a lot of two-sided conflicts. We saw Applejack and Fluttershy with the bats thing. We saw Rarity with her generosity, because we had a two-sided approach to that, being like, well, generosity is kind of screwing you over, but at the same time, generosity is a good thing. It was a hard conflict that she had to come up with in her head. Do I keep being generous or do I not? There's been a lot of these two-sided conflicts, and frankly, I thought this episode could have had the potential for a two-sided conflict, and didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is because I feel like they made the examples of Rainbow Dash's quote-unquote choices for teams too extreme. The Wonderbolts were too big deal, crazy good at flying, holy cow, they're amazing, they're going to win no matter what. And her own team was like completely and utterly inept. And yeah, sure, maybe that's not a big deal. But what I'm trying to say is, it was so the choice that Rainbow Dash had to make, and the fact that she was torn in between the two, because there was extremes, it made her inability to choose seem so much worse than it needed to be. And I think she came off as really badly, because to us, when we looked at that, we're like, wow, the Wonderbolts are being jerks, and she should stay with her friends. Like, that's an easy choice. And based on what I've seen of Rainbow Dash and how she's kind of learned over the years, I thought she'd make that choice. And when she immediately was like, Fleetfoot walked up to her and she was like, or we could just not tell anyone. And the Rainbow Dash that I know, that I've seen in other episodes, would be like, man, that doesn't sit right with me. But the Rainbow Dash in this episode went, yeah, okay, as long as no one knows. And I don't know. So that I think that they made the choice too extreme, and it made the Rainbow Dash's indecisiveness, it made that seem like a negative, as opposed to in previous episodes, certain characters' indecisiveness might have been relatable. So that was a big one for me. Probably the biggest point in the entire thing. I've kind of boiled it down to that one aspect where Rainbow Dash gets put in this position that's very, she gets put in this position where, she has a very hard choice to make, and then she's kind of berated for making a choice, or rather not making a choice. And I don't know, it rubbed me the wrong way, because I feel like we just had an amazing episode, with the Rarity episode was an amazing episode, and it handled generosity so well that I just think they kind of dropped the ball a little bit when they handled loyalty.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of add to that I just think there were points of this episode that were way too extreme. First of all, the conflict, like you said, the Wonderbolts were, very not nice, to put it in a good way, or in a nice way. Yeah. The decision that Rainbow Dash had to make was very predictable, I feel. It's like, for instance, in the Bats episode, the decision there, it really could have gone either way, with the whole sanctuary versus like kicking the bats out or whatever.
Yeah.
With this, it's like there's really no choice. You knew what Rainbow Dash was going to pick in the end. And the fact that like she had to go through these extreme measures of like pretending that she was incapacitated. Yeah. I don't know. It seemed way too over the top and way too predictable.
Yeah. What did you guys think? Did you guys see that a little bit, or did you not really see that? Is there a counterpoint to that?
A little bit, but I didn't mind the episode. I mean, it's always, if you see like a Rainbow Dash loyalty element-ish episode, it's always her and the Wonderbolts.
Mhm.
So that's kind of a repetitive theme, and it does get old. But I still didn't mind the episode. One thing I didn't like though was just Twilight's what's the word I used? Passive aggressiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was just, yeah, okay, you've got a problem, but I'm not going to help
Yeah.
Yeah, there was that aspect of like, she said, this is a decision that you need to make yourself. And then, but there was only one right decision that she could have made. Twilight presented it as if you have to make this decision. And then when Rainbow Dash made a choice that Twilight didn't like, she was kind of like, why didn't you make the, so
Yeah.
but I think that could have been fixed again if they just made the choice a little bit harder to make, if you make the choice between the two harder on you, like, oh, I don't know which one to decide. Like if, again, to us, that choice wasn't hard at all. But for some
Yeah.
reason, when the writer wrote Rainbow Dash, the writer said to Rainbow Dash, oh, that choice is going to be hard to her, even though that doesn't make sense to us. So if the choice itself would have been a hard decision, I think all of the other stuff would have fallen into place, and I think Twilight would have been more legitimate and things like that. So, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that like this whole season has been filled with fairly good episodes. So something like this episode where there's a lot of like holes, I think it kind of leaves us with not that good a feeling about it. And I mean, there are good parts to the episode for sure.
We'll get to those for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it's I don't know. It's just watching this the first time, I really didn't care for it, and the second time through, like Rainbow Plasma said, like I appreciated it more. But what I was finding is that I started appreciating the smaller details that the animators and the storyboarders and stuff put in, but I still couldn't get around the whole story arc of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Atmos Spark, you were mentioning the fact that it's kind of the samey kind of writing, and I wanted to just briefly mention that because I don't want to make more than half of this negative, right? So I just want to mention this last point really quickly, and let's move on to the positive stuff because there was some pretty cool stuff that happened this episode that I want to talk about, as I'm sure you guys want to talk about, and I'm sure people in the audience want to hear. So the last thing that I wanted to say was, as someone who really enjoys Rainbow Dash as a character, right? Like, I've been very open about that. I enjoy the character, and I don't mind her personality flaws because I enjoy those as well as her personality strengths. But, I'm getting tired of seeing the same old Rainbow Dash. We see, when she's a background character, she's making progress. But then in this episode, and like previous episodes, I feel like I'm seeing the same character. Why are the other main six, why are 5 of the other main 6 making progress, and I'm seeing these different characters and I'm gaining appreciation for each one of the characters over time? Why is that not happening with Rainbow Dash? Why is there no progression here? Why are we still going over the same lessons?
It's like you see the progression between like the Fall Weather Friends episode and Castlemania, where it's both about like Applejack and Rainbow Dash competing. But in Fall Weather Friends, it's like it's an unhealthy competition, and in Castlemania, they've kind of grown up a little bit, and like it's more of a friendly competition, and it's like who's the most daring pony, like
right,
not like where I'm going to win this race and you're not.
But the second that Rainbow Dash becomes a focus of an episode, she's starting to become a bit of like Applejack. The second that she becomes the focus of an episode, it's like meh. But then when she's in the background, she's getting better. Anyways, I'm gonna write more on this. In my journal, so if people want to hear more from me about this, but I do want to pass it on to other people and talk about positive stuff, so why don't we go ahead and do that. Bernd, what did you like about this episode?
I don't know, I enjoyed it for what it is. I'm not real big into writing or storytelling. I don't know a lot about it and I don't understand it. As I was watching the episode, there were like a lot of things that kind of stood out to me or were like, that's seems awkward, and kind of like the points that you made and like the conflict and what is it, the Wonderbolts being jerks, how like Rainbow Dash's team sucked and you need me who doesn't suck to actually qualify. It's like all right,
what's the point?
And then you have this team that's clearly better, who's also being a jerk to Soren, who's the only character with redeeming qualities. It was like, I don't know, the storytelling was awkward, the characters and the personalities were awkward, but what I really enjoyed about it was all of the tons of things that were there for me to see, whether it was, you know, cameos of new characters like Derpy or Soren actually being part of an episode for once, not just liking pie.
Dude,
Whoa.
Soren was
Whoa, whoa,
awesome in
whoa,
this
whoa,
episode.
Well, Derpy was in this episode?
Oh, must have been in the
really?
background somewhere. I didn't notice.
Yeah, I didn't see.
yeah.
I didn't notice.
I wish somebody would point that out to me on, like, some website.
Yeah,
like Reddit
you know?
or something. You know?
Not everywhere. It was spoiled to me straight up because I kind of avoided it, and I saw a tweet that was like, oh, that certain pony rejoining in the episode, and I was like, oh, well, probably know who that is. And then when I clicked on the episode to watch it, then because like the screen was small, I could see the top of the comment section, like all the top comments were just like, Derpy.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Yeah.
So,
Get
I
that.
mean, I want to talk about Soren a little bit because I think that he was Rainbow Dash's Coco Pamel,
Yeah.
which is why it was kind of weird that he didn't hand her the thingy at the end. But I thought it was a really interesting role because he did kind of play that same kind of supporting character that Coco did he not?
Yeah, but you don't want in that argument, you don't want characters being the same kind of character and doing the same kind of thing. Like, I think it's better that you had a different character giving said symbol, you know, and it's not another Coco Pinnell. You don't want another Coco Pinnell. Like that, she was amazing for the episode she was in, and she should stay that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, for sure.
Yeah, fair enough.
But they do kind of have that like one relatable character within the conflict, you know? Kind of that bridging character. It seems to be common, at least in the 2 episodes that we've seen so far.
Well, they were both characters that were kind of wronged in a way, you know? And it was kind of cool to see that, you know? Well, it's like, well, she wasn't really wronged in a way. She was just mistreated and, like, saw it, and then her mind came to change.
Yeah.
Soren wasn't really the same, or along the same lengths as that, and that he was just the character who was wronged, and then later he found out, was like, oh, hey, like, oh, they lied to me? Well, yeah. And then he didn't like that. And so he wasn't really along the same, like, what do you want to call it, plane or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I think, like, in the Rarity episode, Coco did learn the lesson of generosity there. And in this episode, Spitfire...
Like, he saw the generosity and whatever.
Yeah.
I guess Soren saw the friends. Go on.
Yeah,
but Spitfire kind of... Well, she said that, you know, you could learn a lesson from Rainbow Dash or whatever. See, again, it comes down to, like, if they weren't jerks, like, then I could easily see where she would be the one to give the thing to Rainbow Dash, because she learned a lesson in this. It didn't have to be, like, that extreme, but, you know, she still could have learned the lesson and given Rainbow Dash the little pendant thing.
I mean, just from a personal point of view, I like the fact that even though it seems like the rest of the Wonderbolts are starting to be a little jerky, that Soren managed to somehow stay in this episode like a goofy, lovable guy. So yes, headcanon not broken.
I completely agree with the it should be the supporting character that gives that whoever the episode is the key in air quotes.
Yeah.
Because if it's, for example, Spitfire in this one, or the other pony's name in the Rarity episode, the other fashion designer's name.
Oh.
They're the ones who are being directly affected by whatever the main six's element is. They're the ones who are like being affected. They're the ones that it's aimed at. Like it's Rarity was generous to that pony, and Rainbow Dash was loyal to her group, but it affected Spitfire and Fleetfoot. The reason I believe it should be the supporting character is because they're a non-partial observer. Coco Pamel was the one that saw the generosity and Rarity, but she wasn't affected by it. And, what's his name? Your guy, Soren. He wasn't affected by the loyalty of Rainbow Dash. He didn't have... I mean, he sort of was, because she took his spot, but he wasn't directly... like you know what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah. No, yeah. I know what you mean. I also just think it comes from a point of view too, where like, you know, in the Rarity episode, and yes, we're gonna keep comparing back to that one because that one was one of the best episodes I've ever seen. And it had to do with the key stuff. So, that's the base for all of this. And so, in that episode, Coco was a likable character, and Suri was not.
Mm-hmm.
In this episode, Soren was a likable character. Spitfire was not.
Right.
So I guess because I saw the likable character give the gift the first time, I kind of went with that again.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of clicked in my head. And so when I saw Spitfire, yes, she apologized, but personally, I don't.
Yeah.
Ooh, you said sorry. Big deal.
Yeah, that is one of those nicer things, but it also is like Rainbow Dash in Pinky Dash's argument, like Rainbow Dash had an effect on Soren, and then Soren was like, in kind of a stuck-up way, she was like, well, yeah, maybe I was a complete jerk, and I probably shouldn't have done that. And then she went up to Rainbow Dash, and she was like, yeah, like, you deserve this, because I'm a jerk, Like, that's kind of the concept I think was trying to be conveyed there.
Yeah, and it is
and why she
definitely
gave her the
different from
key.
the episode. I think again, like it's hard because when something doesn't work in an episode, it can very easily snowball out of control, and you can kind of once you see one thing that kind of puts you off, and then you start seeing other things, and it's hard to gain perspective on it, which is why I tried to watch the episode about 3 or 4 times to make sure that I got it as objectively. And I don't think it's a bad episode. I think it's probably the worst one of the season so far, but there's a very high bar set, so that's not necessarily a horrible thing. But yeah, it was a weird episode because it's one of the only times I've watched an episode of Pony and afterwards really not had a good time.
Yeah.
Which is weird because the only other time I've ever had that was Meridowell. It's the only other time I've had that. You know me, guys. I usually love every single episode. So
Yeah. Something that you pointed out on a bit of a lighter note is the way that Twilight, not the way that she was acting towards Rainbow Dash, but the way that she was acting in the background, where she was like gathering pom poms and stuff like that. That was one of the details that kind of caused me to take another look at the episode.
yeah, give them more detail about that in case they missed it.
Yeah, so like as the episode goes on, you see Twilight kind of becoming more and more enthralled in the whole idea of like cheering for the team. And so you see her like looking at pom-poms or like collecting things throughout the episode, and by the end she's got like full on Rainbow Dash hair
Yeah.
wig thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really funny.
Yeah.
I think that was actually a copy of a cosplay that Tara Strong actually had on at one point.
Oh yeah,
I believe.
that's hilarious.
That's pretty funny.
That'd be great if that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um
And there was a ton of Pegasi in this episode, so Atmospark, I bet you loved that.
Oh yeah, I'm very happy about that. There's the those 2 cheerleader ponies,
mhm.
which
Very
I'm
pretty great.
currently in the process of making vectors of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Is-
really,
yeah,
really
they're
like
adorable.
high energy, loud ponies.
I do. I really do.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, it makes
Just-
sense.
Like fan stuff in general for this episode of just like fan stuff, like things fans would enjoy, like story completely aside and like writer aside and like
Mhm.
Of course, yeah.
what we didn't care for that aside, like all of that out of the way. There was so freaking much of like fan stuff. I feel like even the animators and like storyboard artists at one point were like, you know what, I don't really like the story. Let's just put as much like awesome fan things we can in this episode to make it awesome.
That's
and
funny.
it was really awesome, and I enjoyed it watching for that sense, because there wasn't a scene that I saw that was like, this is awesome in what they're doing, and so it was something silly with bulk biceps.
Oh, what an awful name, by the way.
That name.
Yeah.
I love it. Or if it was,
No,
you
his
know,
name
like
is
old
Snowflake.
fan favorites coming back, or
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
what is it?
Wow.
And there was much more, like Pinkie Pie doing something silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pinkie Pie was
or
it
like
was enjoyable.
characters like going on in the background, like background characters, like the cheerleaders doing interesting stuff like that, or if it was Soren or Rainbow Dash being recognized or what have you.
One last thing before we wrap up, unless someone else has something to say, is I think I kind of am starting to understand why I enjoyed a lot of the earlier season 4 episodes that focused around like all of the main 6, or had like parts where all of the main 6 were together, is because there wasn't really a focus on a flaw in a pony. So like for instance in Castlemania, like you have the flaws, but they're all kind of toned down because you have to get through like 3 different story arcs in the same thing. So you don't touch on individual ponies' flaws. You just kind of like there's a nice big story there. Whereas like with this episode, and even with the last episode, I mean, I really enjoyed the Pinky Apple Pie episode, but even with there, you can start to see a little bit more conflict in a single character, and it kind of, I don't know, it shows through.
Yeah, I think I have a better perspective now that I've kind of had this episode to that I didn't really enjoy. I think it gives me a better perspective sometimes when I see people, when I have an episode that I really enjoy and I see people who don't enjoy it. I think it helps give me a little bit of perspective, because I can see how one thing that can be like a pervasive thing can kind of snowball out of effect and change an episode that is otherwise good into being something that you don't like, just because of one thing that really affects you and might not affect another person.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I had a lot of rambling to do, but I'm probably going to ramble more on my DeviantArt, so in case anyone else is interested, I don't want to leave like an argument half finished. So I will be writing more about that on DeviantArt, hopefully.
Yeah.
In case you're interested.
So we do have to wrap up. So thank you guys for watching. My name is Flutterguy317.
Burned01.
Rainbow Plasma? I don't know.
At Moose Mark.
This order's so weird.
I know, it's so weird.
See you guys next week.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.